Hi, I'm Bill Cullina, the director at the Morris Arboretum, and I'm going to talk today about some common landscape shrubs and trees that you might have in your own yard, but don't know the name of, don't know what they are, or how to take care of them. So this is stuff that's blooming right now in the Philadelphia area in very early spring. Right now it's about the last week of March or so. Hopefully there's some things that you recognize. So here's a tree that you probably recognize. It's a very common landscape tree and beautiful this time of year. It's one of the early magnolias, that is, the magnolias that bloom before the leaves come out. This is star magnolia. Magnolia stellata is the Latin name. And you can tell this from the other magnolias because of these long, thin petals, and there's a lot of them. There's about 16 or so in each flower. And they open up and they have this sort of floppy dog ear look to them. This is a pink form, so if you notice that the buds, when they are coming out, have pink on the back of the petals, and then that pink fades because the inside of the flowers are white. But very easy to grow, very popular, adaptable, small tree. What is this shrub? This is one of those shrubs that often people buy a house and move in, and there's this thing there, and then all of a sudden this time of year it erupts in either pink or orange or red flowers. And people say, what is this thing? Well, this is actually a flowering quince, so it's in the crabapple or the apple family, and it's noted for its very early bloom. So often in the spring when nurseries are getting going and people are getting spring fever, these will be out and for sale because they obviously are in color. And it's a very adaptable shrub. It's a little bit messy, I think, without pruning. You have to get in there once in a while and take out some of the old limbs. It sends out a lot of sprouts from the base, but this is basically what it does. Sometimes it'll form a fruit that looks sort of like a misshapen apple, but mainly noted for its early spring flower. This next tree is one that's confusing because of its common name. This is one of our native maple trees. It's called red maple. Acer rubrum is the Latin name appropriately. People think red maple, it's going to have red leaves or red bark or something like that. It's called red maple because of the flowers. And here it is in bloom right now. It's interesting, and then this tree is an insect pollinated and a wind pollinated plant. These are just starting to go by, the little samaras, the wings that are familiar, maple seed attachments that make them spin like helicopters are just starting to come out. So this is just about done flowering, but there's still some flowers on here. I have a love-hate relationship with this tree. It's a very adaptable, rugged shade tree that grows in all kinds of different situations, but I am a little bit allergic to it. So fortunately I've taken my antihistamine now and it's not bothering me, but there you are, red maple. I showed you the star magnolia. This is another very common early or deciduous magnolia called the saucer magnolia, Magnolia soulangeana. This is a cultivar called Galaxy, which has very dark reddish purple buds and opens up with a lighter interior. They're called saucer magnolias because when the flowers are fully open, they open up like a saucer, 6 or even 8 inches across. Again, a very easy tree, bigger than the star magnolia in all respects. Blooms a little bit later, but sometimes we'll get hit by late frosts and destroying the flowers. This year we've been lucky, and the saucer magnolias in our area here at Chestnut Hill are having a great season. Well, one way to tell the saucer magnolias from the star magnolias, other than the shape of the petals, which is much wider, or the number of petals. Unlike the star magnolia has 16 or so, this only typically has 8 to 10 petals. In addition to being larger, there's just a lot fewer of them. Another saucer magnolia here at the Arboretum. This is more of a typical color of the dark pink toward the base and lighter pink toward the edge of the petals. Just glorious this year in bloom. Really, really spectacular. This magnolia was blooming nearby and I just had to include it because it's so beautiful. This is also a saucer magnolia, but obviously a very different shape, more of a tulip shape. This is a cultivar or a variety called Alexandrina, and just beautiful the way that it holds its petals curled like that, so the flower never really flattens out. Here we have Japanese andromeda, Pieris japonica. This is a plant related to rhododendrons and blueberries. You can see, if you look carefully at the flowers, those little urn-shaped flowers are very similar to the flowers of blueberries that appear a little bit later. But this is a very distinctive plant. It blooms early, and it has these long pendulous panicles of flowers that are followed by little peppercorn-like seeds. This is a little bit of a different cultivar selection called Little Heath that has some variegation to it, and the leaves are a lot smaller, but generally the shape of the flowers and the aspect and everything the same. This is a plant that actually doesn't like to be in hot, exposed situations. It's often planted in the wrong spots along the front of houses and everything, where it's subject to insect damage during the summertime. The leaves can get kind of faded looking. It's better in a little bit of shade, dappled shade, protected from the heat of the sun.